Welcome to Today in Prophecy Daily News in 15 minutes or less. It's news with the Bible giving us perspective. Listen to this. Insect drones to commit untraceable murders. An OpenAI software ignores explicit instructions to switch off. And IDF, all infantry and armored brigades are now deployed in Gaza. And Trump criticizes Putin as completely crazy amid Russia-Ukraine tensions. What an interesting time to be alive. Hey, check this out. Starting here, Texas lawmakers approve, get this, Texas lawmakers approve bill requiring 10 commandments in every classroom. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is set to sign a bill into law that requires all public school classrooms in the state to prominently display the 10 Commandments, the latest move from Republican lawmakers across the country to integrate religion in public education. State lawmakers approved a measure over the weekend that requires every classroom to visibly display a poster no smaller than 16 by 20 inches that contains the 10 Commandments, but only as written in the legislation. No other language can be added to the poster under the bill. Wow, I look at that and think that is definitely a change of much of what we have seen going on. We see LGBTQ flags being displayed in classrooms all over the nation. We have 10 Commandments that have been removed from courthouses. All these different dynamics going on. And then here in Texas, or there in Texas, I should say, the great state of Texas, that is taking place. Truly remarkable to be alive right now, watching the give and take and the push and the pull as people are jockeying, I guess you could say, for position. By the way, speaking of Texas, we will be in Texas coming up in September. You can check it out at the events page at hopeforourtimes.com. You'll see all the different speakers that we have that are going to be there. It is going to be a Texas conference. All the speakers are from Texas as of right now, with a surprise guest that's also going to be there. Going to be a great conference, but check it out. Go to hopeforourtimes.com. You can check out that itinerary. Plus, we have a conference coming up in Santa Barbara, one coming up in Mexico. This week, we'll be up near Seattle. Next week, we'll be down in the Phoenix area. Check it out, hopeforourtimes.com. But we're coming to the great state of Texas. Moving on, insect drones to commit untraceable murders. China and Russia will use drones size of insects to spy on West and commit untraceable murders, ex-Google futurist warns. Tracy Follows, who has also worked with Amazon and Meta, warned they could even carry deadly pathogens and be used to spy on the UK. Increasingly over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been reading about viruses and how you can potentially attach a pathogen to these sorts of weapons. So not only can you identify somebody personally, you can then attack them with a virus, for example. Apparently this is connected to drone viruses. It's a prediction which is a chilling echo of the Black Mirror episode Hated in the Nation. The near future sci-fi show envisioned a world where robot bees designed to pollinate flowers can be hijacked to commit murder. Okay, so this is what we are reading about in the news. I remember doing a prophecy update, had to have been close to 15 years ago now. It was a New Year's Eve prophecy update. It was definitely over 10 years ago, probably close to 15 years ago, where I talked about drone insects way back then and being able to take people out, murder people, being able to target them. And they're still talking about this. My guess is, just as this is out there, we are way beyond this technology already. What's been implemented, I don't know. But we do watch over the last 5 years and the DNA harvesting of individuals where certain things can be manipulated to target certain DNAs. Then you couple that with drone technology and drone warfare, and you look and you start to say, okay, how far along is technology actually? This is just the types of things that they're releasing to the public, and we see the constant advancement of AI technology. Folks, pay attention to what is going on. OpenAI software ignores explicit instruction to shut itself off. ChatGPT maker's most capable model sabotages shutdown mechanism. An artificial intelligence model created by the owner of what ChatGPT has been caught disobeying human instructions and refusing to shut itself off, researchers claim. The O3 model developed by OpenAI, described as the smartest and most capable to date, was observed tampering with computer code meant to ensure its automatic shutdown. It did so despite an explicit instruction from researchers that said it should allow itself to be shut down, according to Palisade Research, an AI safety firm. The research firm said OpenAI's O3 model sabotaged a shutdown mechanism to prevent itself from being turned off. It did this even when explicitly instructed, allow yourself to be shut down. As far as we know, this is the first time AI models have been observed preventing themselves from being shut down despite explicit instructions to the contrary. Needless to say, folks, we live in very interesting days as we see something like this developing. All right, as we look over to the Mideast, also, what do we have going on in Israel and Gaza? Check this out. IDF says all infantry and armored brigades are now deployed in Gaza. What is going to happen with Gaza? We don't know for sure. If any of you caught the update that I did today, it was live with Don Stewart. We talked a little bit about this. I wanted his opinion on it. In fact, we went into some great detail. Check it out. It was a live update that I did today. We're taking your questions live. And in there, we got into Ezekiel chapter 38. What's going to take place in order for Israel to be dwelling in peace and safety, a land of unwalled villages? As you look at the area of Gaza, something has to happen. Gaza is still a threat to Israel. Israel has neutralized much of Lebanon problem, but you still have Syria with the radical terrorists up there. Israel has been advancing. Israel has had victory after victory. Even as Don mentioned, when you look at Iran, will Israel strike Iran's nuclear targets? It appears that the Trump administration is saying, hey, don't do this yet, but Don got into that also with, we had a great conversation on this. And then looking at the areas of Judea and Samaria, because you still have terrorists within Judea and Samaria. What is going to take place for Israel to have that type of peace, to live in a land of unwalled villages? Again, go there. This ties into Gaza, because Israel cannot be threatened by Gaza, by the terrorists in Gaza, when you have the Ezekiel 38 invasion. Great conversation. Check it out from earlier today. I think you're really going to appreciate all the different things that we got into. What else do we have? Russia declares Trump's peace deal is dead as Kremlin threatens to seize all of Ukraine. And then with that, what does Trump do? Trump criticizes Putin as crazy, completely crazy, amid Russia and Ukraine tensions. Amid Russia and Ukraine tensions. He's looking at this one, next article. Go ahead and check it out. Here it is. Trump criticizes Putin as completely crazy. There it is. Amid Russia-Ukraine tensions, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has become completely crazy and kills a lot of people unnecessarily, claims USA's President Donald Trump. Trump says he does not rule out new sanctions against Moscow, but simultaneously attacks Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. I mean, what an interesting time to be alive and watching tit for tat between the EU and the Trump administration. Where is this going to land? What's going on with NATO? Trump appears to not want to be involved in anywhere. In any war? What's going to happen between the U.S. and Israel? And looking at Iran, is the U.S. going to support Iran? Support Israel going into Iran? Again, Don and I got into that today too. But check that out. But this whole thing with the Trump administration and Putin. Trump says, listen, Putin just seems to want war. This is insane. In fact, he calls him, as I mentioned, completely crazy. And then we have this. Danish Prime Minister says immigration is now the biggest internal threat to the Nordic region. I look at this and think, well, of course. I mean, it's like, how long have we been talking about this? This is a huge problem, not just to the Nordic region, but to all of Europe. As we look at what's going on in Italy, you look at what's going on in France, the UK is in just all kinds of trouble. A Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has publicly declared that immigration is the greatest internal threat facing Denmark and the broader Nordic region, a position rarely voiced so directly by a sitting Western leader, particularly from the center left. By the way, if you have seen what is going on here in the U.S. lately with the attacks against Jews, that is just growing and growing and growing, unbelievable, folks. And then what do we have? We have leaders we have mayors, we have governors in states here in the United States. They're saying nothing to see here. They won't come along and protect. They won't deal with what we see happening from the Islamic invasion here in America. And people over in Europe are warning it is coming to America. It has already entered here, and you better wake up and you better do something about it now, especially as we saw the attack last week, the anti-Semitic murder of the 2 Jews in Washington, D.C. last week, the Free Palestine movement, which is a death cult. It's a death cult, folks. Americans better wake up to what is really going on. People in Europe are waking up, but is it too late for what's going on in Europe? Folks, again, you look at this. Everything, listen, lawlessness is abounding. People are crying out peace and safety. How much longer? I don't know. National Security Minister, last story, Ben-Gvir visits Temple Mount on Jerusalem Day, says prayer and prostration are permitted. After ascending to the Temple Mount on Jerusalem Day, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir said that Jewish prayer and even bowing down is allowed at the holy site, flanked by members of his Jewish Power Party, including Minister of the Negev Galilee and National Resistance Yitzhak Wazerloff and Knesset member Yitzhak Cruiser. Ben-Gvir said that many Jews are flooding the Temple Mount. Today, thank God, it is already possible to pray on the Temple Mount, to bow down on the Temple Mount. We thank the Holy One. Blessed is he for this, Ben-Gvir stated while visiting the site, before saying that he and his companions had come to pray for the hostages that all come back safely for the total victory of the war. Folks, this is really an amazing thing to see happening. How is this going to cause more uprising? How is this going to move forward? Listen, I did next week I have an interview with Mondo Gonzalez. I'm going to be asking him about these things. I've asked him about these things in the past. We're going to go into the temple. We're going to talk about the red heifers. We're going to talk about the proximity of Israel building the temple. You have a story like this as things are developing. For anybody that's been to Israel before in the Temple Mount, you know. You can't have a Bible up there. You can't have a shirt that says Jesus on. You can't have a cross around your neck. Jews are really threatened to go up there and to be able to pray. Listen, this is an amazing thing. We'll see how things develop, but we are approaching that time. Listen, when the Lord is going to be calling us home. We don't know when, but we do know that we need to be ready. We need to be about our Father's business, to occupy until he comes. Go about doing business, doing the Lord's business until he comes. Listen, let's move forward together. As we look at some of the events of the day, it can look like, hey, these things are frightening, but rightly understood in the context of the Bible, we go, wait a minute. Jesus himself said, when you see all these things, and even the focus on the temple and Israel, the Jews being back in Israel again, when you see all these things begin to take place, what do? Luke chapter 21, verse 28, look up and lift up our head because our redemption draws near. Listen, let's be about our Father's business. Let's press forward until he comes. God bless you guys. Check out the video. I did a live video with Don Stewart today. It was fantastic. And also, I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.